Welcome back to the Morning Movement Show. I'm your host, Sarah Joy Gaines, and today I'm joined by a very special person, a personal special person in my life. We have Keoni Hudoba here with us today.
Hello. I'm honored to be here.
So happy that you're here.
Just a full circle little moment for us.
It is totally full circle. I was telling the crew here today how full circle it is because you were the founder of the first method that I ever taught.
It's insane to think about how time is flying, how long ago that was, but then to see the biggest honor as somebody who ever creates a method or creates a company, I think, is seeing the people that they train and seeing their path forward in their own journey. And I think to see what you're doing now is just, it's incredible. So it's amazing to watch.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And love, appreciate y'all. And it would, like, I was thinking about it, I'm like, wow, it really, like, I wouldn't be here without that, because that training was integral. And I taught, that was indoor cycling, that was psych fitness, beat-based, music-driven, lights, everything.
I always talk about that. I always talk about the training process, because I think now going to other companies and working with other companies, it's such a short program now.
Yeah.
Whereas before, I think it's just shifted. People are trying to pump out instructors now. Whereas before, we used to have the time to like really work with the trainers, and it used to be a 6 to 8 program minimum.
6 to 8 weeks.
6 to 8 weeks, 6 to 8 week program minimum. And then we would kind of cultivate the trainer and see where they were at in the 6 to 8 weeks.
Right.
And then we'd have tribe rides, see if they were ready to perform. Because I'm such a big believer in, like, you have one opportunity to show people what you have, especially in a fitness space, for them to come back to you and for them to want to come back to you. And it's like, I never wanted to put any of the trainers on the podium in a space where they didn't feel their best. Because I feel like a lot of times now with companies, they pump out these trainers and they put them through the training programs, but their trainers aren't necessarily ready. So it's like, then word of mouth is so strong, especially in this business. So
Especially
it's like,
now with social media.
Correct. So it's like, as soon as somebody writes a Reddit review about you or a rate your burn used to be a big thing at that time. And it's like, once you have that bad review, people are like, oh, I'm not giving this person a chance. Where it's like, I don't ever want that to even be an option for clients. Is like, I want the trainer to go out there, blow them away, give them all the tools they can, and then they perform and they feel their best on their first class. So it's only growing from there. Where I think a lot of times now it's like it's tough, because I feel like the companies are doing a disservice to the trainer because they're not allowing them to fully develop before they're putting them in front of a group of 60 people. So
well, it feels like a quality over quantity, and almost like there's this connection to, let's make this happen as fast as possible rather than like really investing the time.
Totally agree. And I think that was, I still to this day think of that. And just like you're a testament to it, but I think of all the trainers that went through the training and like where they're at now and how developed they are and what they're doing with their careers now. And I think it's incredible to see, like, one, the companies they're working for, and two, how successful they are. But I think I miss that the most are the training groups, because I think that's kind of where I grew as a trainer. Like, I wasn't only a mentor, I was somebody who was able to develop my own skills of how to work with people, how to help other people develop as a trainer. Yeah.
I don't know if you remember this, but I have a very specific memory from one of my tribe rides.
Oh God.
So this was cycling, and also, mind you, like, the training, it was 6 to 8 weeks of like 4 or 5 days a week. 4
or 5 days a week, and we were riding all day.
It was insane.
You were riding all day.
Yes, I think back to that time. I'm like, how on earth? I'm like, thank these legs.
Correct. But it was everything from, the training though was everything from riding the bike. Like, my favorite thing was like interviewing people and then seeing, I can teach somebody how to ride a bike, even if you don't have rhythm. I can teach you how to get the rhythm, how to ride the bike. I cannot teach you a personality. And so the biggest thing was me, I didn't care what your background was. If you've never done fitness before, if I met you and I vibed with you and I clicked with you and I felt like something resonate and you had a story to tell, I'd much rather work with that trainer than the trainer that has all the certifications. Because the trainer that necessarily has all the certifications doesn't it doesn't really produce well in front of other people. Like, yes, you know everything about the body, but are you making the connection?
Right.
And I meant, at that time, we were calling our instructors. I mean, it was at Psych Fitness, so we were calling our instructors psychologists, CYC-ologists. And so I was like, you're in there to get in people's mind,
Right.
to have an effect.
Which is the power of movement and group
correct.
and group movement.
Yeah.
I mean, we just did it here.
Yeah.
You know?
And to this day, I still think, even coaching, it's like, I went back to Barry's, and this is my third iteration at Barry's, right? I opened New York City Barry's in 2011, left to start Psych, came back, created their ride program, and then just came back again after pandemic. And I went back because I missed the in-person.
Yeah.
Like, I love my virtual crew. I'm so fortunate to be doing what I'm doing after 5 years, but I miss the in-person, and seeing the effect
Totally.
that you have on people in person, I think, is so important.
Well, and you do such an amazing job at
thank you.
creating an experience that's a great workout that is going to challenge you, and B, that's fun and entertaining. I mean, I took your class at the Glow Up Studio,
Yeah.
Lulu's Glow Up Studio, and I was reminded, because it had been years,
Yeah.
obviously, since I took your class, and I was like, oh wow, I forgot he's so funny. You know, like,
People think on my Instagram, people think I'm very serious, friends. It's a very serious Instagram. But no, when they get to know me, I don't remember half the shit that I say
course,
in a
yeah.
class, and I also call it that. Like, I don't call them classes, I call them experiences, because I truly do believe that's what it is, and that's what I want to leave the people with, is a palpable. I start every single class, regardless if I'm on the bike, if I'm in a HIIT studio, I start every class with a thought of the day. There's always a thought of the day, like always. So I can kind of base that intention throughout the class, because I think, one, it gives me food for thought to give them knowledge of how the body's moving, what to think about when they're challenged, and two, it also lets them think about something else other than how challenging the workout is.
Right.
And I think that's huge. And even like with Lululemon, let me tell you, one of my favorite quotes is, you can either conform to the energy in the room, and I said this at Lululemon, you can either conform to the energy in the room, or you can create the energy in the room. And I'm such a creator, and I think people that move with me are also creators.
Totally.
So I believe that, like, you can have a shitty day when you come in a studio. I have shitty days, but as soon as I'm in the studio and I get to do what I do, I don't have to do what I do, I get to do what I do, that's when my mind shifts of like, you have the ability to have an effect on 60 people every time you step in the studio or every time you're on camera. So why not make that effect be something that's positive, that can shift someone's mindset?
Which also, I mean, you could even like take that from the room and take that out onto the street.
Totally.
Every single you're interacting with.
And just the smallest interaction. And now lately, you know, we lived 2020, 2021, 2022 where we didn't acknowledge anyone. Right. So it's like now in classes going back to Barry's and seeing that people are still in that shift of like, I will literally start the class with being like, how's everyone doing? And then if it's silent, I'm like, cool, I'll turn off the music. Like, we can start this silent then. Like, it's so awkward when I just asked a question and not one person had, so then people will start hooting and hollering. And I'm like, you don't know the effect that you can have on someone else, even if like acknowledging your person, right? Acknowledging the person next to you in a space that we're all there to do the same thing.
Exactly.
We're all there to clear our mind. We're all there to get physically stronger. We're all there to protect our machine, right? But it's like, you don't know what this person's personally going through. So if you smile at them, give them a high five, give them a shaka, like whatever it is to affect them, that could shift their whole mindset.
Right.
And I think that that's what movement is so important for. And just like, why not use that? It's free.
Right.
You know?
It's literally at our fingertips.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, let me tell you this quick story.
Yeah,
and then
we got sidetracked. I'm sorry.
And then we'll circle back because we want to know how this all came to be. But so here's the thing: going back to this amazing experience that you create, you would do this thing. So at Psych, how it worked, we had the bike on the podium, and we had these two lights. And it's actually, I think it's the lights that we have.
They
here.
are.
Yeah, that was like one of the first things I noticed. And you would be able to control the lights with little what are they called?
Remotes.
And so that was part of the instructor's role, is like you were creating the experience through changing the lights throughout the entire ride. And you would do this thing, because you would come to Boston, like, you know, whatever, maybe once a month or once every 2 months. And you'd have full sold out, like 2 back-to-backs. And you would do this thing. Do you remember this? You would move the lights off the podium into the aisle and create like a runway of light. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And so in my tribe ride, I was like, oh, I'm going to do that. And so I started to do that and like started to move the light, and I was not doing it. And it was like taking me out of the moment, and you're riding like right in front of her. And at some point you're like, just leave them.
Yeah.
But it's such a memorable moment because it's like, no, get your basics first.
Yeah. And then you create the atmosphere.
Add on.
Yeah. Now, I mean, having done this for so long, I think the thing is that even now at different places that I'm coaching now, it's like, get the bearings first.
Totally.
And then you get to add everything else. You don't ever want something to feel forced.
Right.
So it's like when I'm moving lights, it's because I know I have the time and I know I have the moment to do that.
Exactly.
If it distracts from the experience, I don't like to do it.
Totally.
You know what I'm saying? And the biggest thing, even in training, I'm like, peacock. Like, if I messed up, I will peacock and flail my feathers like no one even saw me fly off the podium. Or like, oh, I just fell. I'm like, meant to do it. Like, this is,
exactly.
you know.
That was part of the act.
This is what part was supposed to happen. I was going to death drop, but my heels gave out for me. You know, it's like adding those little nuances in. But I think having done it for so long, so much has happened to me in my career.
Yeah.
I've had mics go out. I've had lights fall. I've had everything happen in huge, I mean, I will still remember teaching at Grand Central Station for Super Bowl Sunday. Under Armour, I was sponsored by Under Armour. They took over Grand Central Station.
Cool.
And it was like, I still get goosebumps. It's crazy. But I think of those moments of like, I fell off. Like there was literally a huge stage. I was living my best life, and all of a sudden you see, and it wasn't like a small like foot drop. It was like 4 feet, and I'm like kicking, and then all of a sudden I just go off. I wasn't even like aware because the lights were so bright of like where I was, and literally I just popped up and I was like, whew, I needed a breather from the stage. Like there was no moment for me to think.
Yeah.
I just went with it, right? So it's like now all those things that have happened in my career, performing and the experiences that I've given, I think anything can happen now, and I'm like,
okay.
And I can remember my first memory of something happening to me, and this was in high school when I was playing The Wiz in The Wiz, and it was right when I was coming up out of the stage, and I could feel, and I was painted green, and I could feel my nose starting to bleed, and I'm like, wait. And like trying to suck it up as I'm about to sing, and I could feel it like coming down my mouth. So then I start singing, and I just see like red, like spray of red going, and I'm like, oh my God, this is happening. And I was like, act like it's not even happening.
Right.
Act like nothing's even happening. No one can see the blood when I'm like, they can clearly see that I'm bleeding. And I was like, just sing, and then after you finish singing, walk off, wipe it off, and then like reset, you know? So that was like my earliest moment of me like having that moment of anything can happen to you.
Right.
In a class, in a show, in anything. It's just the way that you react to it. Like, cover it up. Peacock. So the moral to the story with those lights is you just peacock it.
Exactly. And it's like it's such a learning, a total formation. So thank you.
Of course. My pleasure.
10 years later.
I love it. I'm dying.
So let's take it way back. I mean, I want to just ask you first, if we really go back, I mean, what's your earliest movement memory?
Oh, wow. That is a great question. I think my earliest movement memory was a very pivotal moment in my life. I was going down a bad path of obesity. And a lot of it had to do with coming out and acknowledging who I authentically was as a gay male. And so I became addicted to food. I knew that I became addicted to food, and I knew that food for me really gave me a comfort blanket.
Yeah.
Whereas like I knew and acknowledged that if putting on all this weight, when I went home from college, I wouldn't have to I wouldn't have to answer to my friends or family of why I'm single. Because it was kind of just known, because I was this fat guy now that like, who would want to be like mentally, who would want, it's so fucked up, but like who would want to be with me, you know? So I went to an audition when I was heavy, and I went to school for opera, actually. A lot of people don't know that but that's what I went to college for at Shenandoah Conservatory. And so I was a park and barker. Like, I literally went out on stage, sang, didn't matter how big I was, and then I left and would just walk off the stage, right? So I went to an audition for Paramount, and they were like, hey, can you stay for the movement call after I sang? And I was like, what? And they were like, we're doing a movement call. So I was like, what is the movement call? And they're like, well, you're gonna have to dance. I was in my suit, literally no movement clothes. They're like, just take off your dress shoes. Like, you can take off your suit jacket, blah, 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 whatever. So I did the movement and kid you not, felt like I was having a heart attack. And I was like, I'm huge. Like, I cannot move. I'm dying. The first 8 counts, I was sweating so much through my suit shirt. I'll never forget it. And then afterwards, I had nothing to change it to. And the director was like, can we have a talk with you? And I'm like, yeah, of course. Let's chat. He's like, I just want to let you know that, like, what do you want to do in this field? So I was like, I want to be a singer. What do you mean? What do I want to do in this field? Like, I want to perform.
Yeah.
And he's like, you have to be able to move. And at that moment, I was like, oh, fuck this guy. Like, I don't need to move. I'm a singer. Like, that's what I am. I'm a singer.
Yeah.
I've never been told I have to move before. And at that moment, I had such a moment of embarrassment that I had allowed myself to get to this place. 2, a moment of like clarity and aha that like, this guy could be saying something truthful to you. Like, if you do want to take this seriously, he's telling you he's telling you you have the pipes for it. Right. But he's also telling you don't have the body for it. And it was such a sitting moment for me that I was like, wow, if I do want to do this, and if I do want to do theater, it is a lot about imagery. And like, I'm going to have to shift my mindset and get my ass into gear. Right. And from that moment, I think that little movement moment is what transcended my whole career. Like, from there, I found the gym. From there, I found movement in a different way. I lived on a fucking elliptical. Lived, babes. I used to play a playlist, and I used to 1-2, 1-2 on that elliptical like nobody's business. And then I was like, wow, movement can be something more than just running, something more, being active. And then I started to see my body change. And what I had always mentally, when I closed my eyes, who I knew I could be, is where my body physically started to become. And I think that was so pivotal for me. And that was the physical aspect, right? And then the mental aspect was just acknowledging who I was as a person. And once I was allowed to share that with my family and acknowledge who I was, a proud gay man, changed everything for me. And I think that's when over the course of that's when I fell in love with movement, and when I realized that, wow, this is something that I'm passionate, not because I thought singing was the only thing I was ever passionate about. Right. And then when I integrated fitness into it, I was like, wow, I'm really passionate about this too. Then I tried to meld the two. And then I realized that, wow, I really miss movement only. And that movement can be a performance. Yeah. And that's why when we created Psych, I wanted there to be a drum. I wanted there to be lighting. Drum. I forgot about the drum. Yes, and I also there was a drum, guys.
You'd get to get off
your
the
bike
instructor
and literally
play
to your music.
Do you know when Psych closed down, I took the drum home?
I
had the drum I had the drum in my apartment until I left Boston. Yeah.
Wait, that's kind of amazing. With the Psych stickers on it. You better get it. No. She's like, I'm going to tell you something. I stole the drum. Yeah.
It was gifted.
But I think the thing is for me is that I wanted to, Psych for me was giving back. Yeah. I wish I had in college, and now you got to remember, Psych was developed to be at Big Ten universities or universities that had 60,000 plus students. That's how it was developed. So we opened at University of Wisconsin. Right? Madison was the first. Then UT was the second. University of Texas. Then we opened Boston, Atlanta, New York. And it was developed to open at Big Ten universities to give people like myself who was big in my college years, I didn't have a place like psych.
Right.
I didn't have a place that the lights were off, that I could literally sit in the back row, sit on a stationary bike, and just go. Like, if I had that in college, I don't know where my career would be right now, to be honest. I might still be performing. I might have shifted, my direction. And I don't think anything misses you that's meant for you. But I do believe that, like, it was a huge thing for me giving back that component of, like, what shifted my whole life. It was like, okay, in college is where everything happened for me. So if I could allow somebody else who was heavier or was dealing with something emotionally or coming out, like, college was the pivotal point for me of, like, where I chose what deodorant I still use to this day. Like, I mean, honestly, like, so it was, those moments all happened in college.
Right.
So, like, allowing myself to have that space for other people, and why we called the instructor psychologist, was because I wanted people to remove themselves from the stress of college life, from the stress of something personally, emotionally that they were going through, and come into a studio and just be.
Right.
Be who you want to be.
Amen.
Be, if you are a closeted person, if you're dealing with family stuff, you're allowed to come in here and just let go. And I think even the arc of the ride, right? The arc of the ride, I want you to leave an impression. Everything can happen, songs 1 through 9. If the last song you lock them in, that is the final impression. And I still take this with me today at Barry's with experiences like big Lululemon Glow Up Studio. I can fuck up as many times as I want in the whole experience, but it's how I seal the book and how I close the chapter of the experience that I think you're leaving the people with, is with that tangible energy, that tangible thought. Like, those things are so key. Yeah. Well, now I want to, like, go teach an experience now. I'm like, wait, I gotta go. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, it really is. And, it's such this is something that I find myself holding the tension in between, because my journey in fitness also started with weight loss and changing my body, and that being the main focus on the physical, but then realizing all of these emotional and mental effects. And obviously then you have the fitness industry and the media, where the body and how the body looks is like the thing to focus on. But then you actually start doing it and you realize, oh wait, there are all these other things, and then the body just, like, changes as it goes.
Absolutely.
But so it's just this tension of, like, where do you hold, or how do you hold both of those truths?
I think you navigate it too. Like, let me tell you, I'm 42 now.
Yeah.
My body does. I was just telling a girlfriend of mine, Natalie Euling, who our careers kind of were in session together. We did Under Armour together. We did an NBC show together. Like, I spoke to her yesterday, and she's having back issues right now. And let me tell you something. The older that my body doesn't move the same that it used to. And I think a few things with going through this journey and the new chapters that I'm going to in my life, I think it's so key to remind yourself, one, to give yourself grace, but two, also that your power is that no one is you.
Right.
That is your power. When you look down every morning at your thumbprint, you are the only person in the universe that has that thumbprint.
Right.
Like, you have to remind yourself of that. And I think a lot of times with social media now, we compare ourselves. I was guilty of it for forever, especially during lockdown. I was like, wow, all these people are trainers now. Why are these people getting this and I'm not getting this? I'm working my ass off. Like, and then I realized, and I was like, your superpower is that no one else is you.
Yeah.
Like, they can try as much as they want to emulate you. They'll never be you. No. Never. Like, even hearing people say other things in classes that other people say, I'm like, I get the ick. I'm like, bro, this is so inorganic for you.
Right.
Like, don't try
it's the lights.
But don't try to emulate what you think I want to see. I want you just to organically do what you feel.
Right.
And I think that goes so much further than trying to emulate what other people do. And I think even with training at Psych or at Barry's or anything, I always tell trainers that I'm working with the same thing. It's like, I'll give you the tools of how to put on a good experience. It's up to you to give the experience your flair.
Totally.
And we used to always do, like, I used to do a training and I said, we did an alter ego training. So you had to be an alter ego.
That's cool. I like that.
And I would always be like, who is your alter ego? What is their name? How do they walk? How do they talk? What are 3 adjectives as the trainer that you are?
Right.
So I'm gonna ask you that question. What are 3 adjectives that would describe you as a mover?
Grounded, free, and strong.
Incredible. So it's like those adjectives that would pull you away. Now the thing is, like, when I ask trainers that and they're like motivational, I'm like, well, no shit.
Right.
It's literally your job.
Right.
You know? So like think of things that are out of the box.
Totally.
So like for me as a trainer, I would describe myself as mysterious. I would describe myself as unpredictable. What else would I describe myself as? Those would be 2 things that, like, I never want somebody to come and be like, I knew he was going to do this.
Right.
I knew he was going to say that. He starts every class like that.
Right.
I want it to be a Mona Lisa. I want it to be a one of a kind. Even if I'm teaching the same class at 6 and 710, it's not the same experience.
Right.
It's fully different.
Right.
I want to engage my mind differently. I want to engage the clients differently, you know? So it's like, how can you do that and challenge yourself as a mover to not get stuck in a place? And it's insane because we now get rated at Barry's by a fit grid. It's this survey they send out. And I've been back at Barry's now for almost a year, and they do this survey, and it has a lot of weight to it. It's how we get raises, it's how we stay in a time slot, blah, blah, whatever. So I'd always be on the cusp of a 10-0, always. And then I'd be like, okay, there's 1-1. I'd have 47 10s and 1-1, right? So I'd see the 1, and there'd be all this information, you know. The music was too loud, he didn't turn on the fans, and I would always try to take what the feedback was, if it was feedback that was tangible and I could apply to myself, right? Because fitness is so subjective. And I really, over the last year, I was like, how am I not getting this 10? Every Tuesday I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna get the 10. And then the last 2 fit grids, I've had a 10. And it was such a moment for me of like, you did it. Like, you've done it. Like, you've been able to receive the feedback, apply the feedback in class, and make sure that the client has the best experience. Right. Because Barry's can be a very intimidating room. You're walking in a room, a red room, it's dimly lit, people are running, some people don't even run, they've never been on a treadmill, you know, and there's 60 people in the room that all have these crazy bodies, right? So you're walking in, and I'm like, in a room, especially as an instructor, that can be very intimidating to clients, how do you make it not intimidating? Right. How do you make it approachable? And how do you make everyone's experience an experience that's enjoyable? Right. And so I've been really working on that at 42, being in this industry forever. Like, I want to never stop growing as a trainer. And I think the time that I stop growing is the time that I will stop training, honestly. Absolutely. Because it's like, what's the point of doing it? You stop growing, you stop living. Correct. Can I get a hallelujah? Amen. Well, we could, I feel like, talk for hours. We're not done, are we? We unfortunately, we have to wrap, but thank you so very much. I will see you guys next week. Yeah, next week and the following. Keep coming back. Bring your alter egos. I'm dead. How can people connect with you? They can connect with me via social. My name, Keoni Hudoba. And then we do a virtual training, again, Monday through COREntine. It's called COREntine, COREntine. It's been 5 years going now, 8:45 every morning, virtually. Amazing. Which utilizes weights, bands, things from home. And then if you can't connect virtually live, we send out the link. And I make it more virtual too, because I have everyone's names written down. So the 100 people that take the class, regardless of if you do the link or if you're live, I still call you out so it feels like you're part of the live situation. Cool. Yeah, and then I'm at Barry's, so come check me out. Amazing. Go experience Keoni's class. Just a total, I'm so proud of you. Gift. Thank you. Thank you. Total full circle moment. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to our amazing, amazing live audience. Yes, let's hear it for y'all. And I'm Sarah Joy Gaines. This is the Morning Movement Show. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. We'll see you next week. We've got Sam, the founder of Third Place Bar, that will be here. So thank you so much. See you Tuesday at 10:30. Have a great week, y'all. Thank you so much.